So we're back.
We're back.
I actually missed doing this. I mean, we
Good.
only took off like a week, but I missed it. And it's nice to be back in the studio and not in your makeshift. One
My
day.
my studio is a work in progress, but the
One day.
quality's there. We just have to make the setting better. But it's
We just
it's way nicer coming here.
it needs time. We need better lights. I mean, it's fine, but this feels nice. And of course we have Wolf here, and that's always good.
Yeah. By the
So
way, one thing I appreciate about Wolf and also just what they do here is I spent way too many hours on Adobe Premiere trying to
yeah,
edit the
I'm
videos,
sure.
and I don't have time for that shit.
And also our son's middle name is Wolf. Um, by the way, the other day when you said Hunter or the wolf, I didn't even put that together.
Ah,
That's so funny. So Jack's middle name is Hunter. So it's funny that
and Elijah's Wolf, and
yeah,
it's not a guarantee who would win in a battle,
we don't know yet.
but maybe the hunter would take the wolf as its pet, like as its
Yeah, they would.
partner, and
So
hunt
funny
together.
that Elijah's older and he would be the pet. Anyway, we're going on a tangent. We are going to talk about something really cool that you just did. And there is a lot of not only chatter and talk about this topic and healing from traumas and things like that, there's a lot of science behind it. And I'm eager to do something like this because um, I feel like I'm in a PTSD phase of my life with everything that happened with my dad and like the way I like to say, and I'll talk more about this not today, but in a few months when I'm ready. After my dad passed, it was like my nervous system was on guard for 6 years because obviously he got diagnosed and we got him to a place of being cured. And and then he just died so quickly. So it was like very traumatic.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are talking about doing these alternative therapies and these guided medical, literally, they call it medicine, right? It's a blend of what, psychedelics?
Psychedelics and dissociatives.
Got it. And I guess it can heal traumas and it can take you to different places. And I think it did an amazing thing for you. So go ahead and share.
I'm very excited to talk about this because I, at 42 years old, I did not think that I would ever have my mind blown. And I've done my fair share of psychedelics over the years, as you know, and my mind was blown. I had a profound spiritual experience that awakened me, and I'll start from the beginning.
Well, let's start with this. Let's
Okay.
start with this. Who introduced you to this? Who are these
Yes.
people? How did you meet them? Why did you decide you felt comfortable doing it with them? Because you've never done anything like this before.
Never. So Omani and Jeannie, who are on the pod, which was almost the impetus to actually do it. But they were on a recent episode back in August, I think it was,
Yeah, they're
and
a couple that have been married for how long? 45 or something
43
crazy?
years, 43.
They have a very successful company, they're wealth managers, but they started which is really beautiful. They were so successful that they were like, "Let's do something meaningful," and they started Omya,
Yep.
which is
So Omani, he had this spiritual. He was explaining this, and he talks about this publicly. You know, he was in the corporate world and that titan of industry, and just found himself without joy, without meaning, and had a spiritual awakening of his own. And then that spurred him to step down as CEO of his company,
oh, he
Carson.
stepped down because of that.
He's chairman. I believe he's still chairman, but he stepped down and really focus his
Wow.
energy along with Jeannie on Omya, which is essentially it's the consciousness business. They have these retreats. It's also a private network, high net worth individuals who want to find joy in their life. You know, people who have everything but that. And so what they do is,
Wow.
among other things, they do these retreats. I think they're quarterly now.
So, I just wanna point out, money and success does not equal joy.
Correct.
It just
And
doesn't. You could be
oftentimes
the richest person and you still are you're looking for joy. So,
there's probably like a happy medium, because when you don't have money, you can still be happy, But there's stresses in life where it's helpful to have money so that you're not stressing about your
Yeah,
bills
but
every
it
month.
doesn't equal happiness. You could be poor and be very happy.
100%.
My dad always says his happiest times growing up was in his home with nothing, with the love of his family.
Absolutely. But I think, look, it's an objective thing to say that money can
It can make your life
alleviate certain
easier. It
stresses
makes your life easier. It gives you freedom. I think money equals freedom. That's why that's
to a point, though, because when you start worshiping money instead of using money as a tool,
if you start worshiping money.
no,
Not
well,
everybody does.
right. But if you're I'm in my hypothetical, if somebody starts worshiping money, then they become a slave to money,
Totally.
and that's when you don't
Then
find
you're just a
happiness.
slave to money.
Then you're
Right.
just a slave.
Right.
And it happens to a lot of
Right.
people.
Right.
People don't realize money is a tool. They think of it as the end, not a means to an end.
Exactly.
So anyway, so they started these retreats, and we talked about it a little bit when we had them on.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very intrigued because, as you know, I had been feeling lost, just a little bit dulled over
Yep.
the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know what, like, any specific intention of going. It's not like I'm trying to heal from some deep trauma, but I'd been feeling stuck. And so Omani called me. He's like, you should come to this retreat. Like, this will change you.
And also, like, I just want to take a moment to say it's really beautiful when people come into your life like that just feel you
Yeah.
without you knowing. Like, there's no reason for it. It's not like, like you guys were so close and you opened up and told him all these things. Like, he just felt you.
Yeah.
And like as a mentor, and like I'm doing that's kind of like my situation now with Nicole, for example. Like she just felt me and she wanted to help me and like he wanted to help you. So I also want to say it's so important to allow that as like an opening to let people come into your life. You may not know them, they may not have any real idea why they want to guide you and help you, but allow it because it can be really transformative.
Yeah. I think it's harder when you get older because you get more set in your ways, your
Yes,
social circle.
agree.
And I was just talking about this with, I think it was Charlie, but when you get it, one of the joys of life as you get older is meeting new people and making new friends and new friend groups. And so it was with Omani, and we just, we hit it off from the beginning. And
So he called you.
so he called me, come. I'm like, oh, my kids are about to get back from sleepaway
I
camp.
remember you asked me, you were like,
And then I asked
"Thanks."
you, I'm like, listen, hey, can I go on this psychedelic healing retreat?
Right when our kids get home from camp, so you'll be left alone with 4 children?
But you, and I'll give you credit, you were immediately of the mind you should go. You probably saw how annoying I was being, just being
No,
stuck. But
I just, when you're with someone for so long, we've been together for 15 years. I've seen you in your like vibrant stages and I've seen you in like the dull stages. I'm
right,
sure you've seen me the same way. And I knew that you were a little stuck and I knew you needed something to clear your head and to like push you into a direction that you would feel good about. So I was all about it. I mean, I
yeah, you
want you to
were.
live your best life.
And so I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'll fly to Omaha. Never been to Nebraska. I'll fly to Omaha to
Same.
this ranch. I have no idea what to expect, zero. And I was a little hesitant even after I committed to it. Just the idea of traveling and then being disconnected for a few days, work, all the shit of life. Anyway, so we get on this a group call with the other people who you don't know beforehand. And one of the things they ask all of us, what's your intention with this? And I didn't have an answer. I said, I don't know, but all I could think of is this image of a powerful light that's collected dust over the years and has just become dulled. And I want to clean the lens. And so I go into it. That was like my broad thing. We get there, you get assigned a sitter, or I had two sitters. And these are people who are not going on the journey themselves, but that are there to be your guide, to kind of be literally sit in the room with you when you're on the journey and to help you process and integrate after. So I get there, don't know anybody. It's 40 people, 15 of them about are going on the journey from all over the country.
Wait, so what are the other people doing if only 15 of them are going on the journey?
They're the sitters.
Oh, got it.
um, so get there. immediately everybody's super cool, really friendly. Everybody, some people had done this before.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm still stuck on the ratio. Why are there so many more sitters than people?
Some of us got two sitters. I got
Wow.
two. I don't know why
Why?
I got two, but
Oh, interesting.
um, and then there's also just the
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 people who run
the
it.
people who run the retreats.
Okay, wow, that's really nice though. So it's like a very, very um attentive and like there's
Very attentive, but
you think of like a
also
daycare when there's like 25 kids and only two teachers, you're like, that's not a good daycare, but like
kind
good
of,
good
yeah. That's
ratio.
actually a good.
Okay.
It's a good analogy. So anyway, I meet my sitters, Sean and Greg, and within seconds, we're getting to deep conversation, and they asked me, "What's your intention?" And I said, "I don't know. This image of the light and the dust." And then they started talking about this idea of remembering, of remembrance. And then it just hit me. I'm like, "Fuck, that's what it is. I need to remember. I need to remember me, like the core of me." Yeah, I have memories, obviously, of me, my childhood, my formative years in college, etc. But it felt like I hadn't connected with myself in a long time. And I think that's just a function of becoming an adult for most people.
Yes, but also and I think it's a beauty, a blessing, and a curse, and also that I think almost like the meaning of life. It's like once you start getting into the day to day, and especially I'd say now. Like I'm sure when people were farmers and hunters and gatherers and they had moments to decompress at the end of the day, they were connecting with themselves in the quiet of nature or outside. Like I always have this image of like maybe because I'm Middle Eastern of like me like in the middle like
In
what
the
it
desert,
must have been like in the desert just like working and like you exerting energy and then coming back and like being with yourself and being with nature and looking at the stars. Like that was a different world. I mean, healing would take place and just connection with God and like spirituality. I mean, it was a whole different thing. Now, when do we have to like schedule time to meditate? It's not like
with an
that
app.
with an app, with a computer talking to you. It's just like we've completely disconnected from the sense of
From
self
God.
and humanity and God and it's actually it's very scary when you think about it. And that's why I think there's this massive shift towards mindfulness and connection because it's so important. Something like Omya is is a tool, really, and these retreats that people are going on is a way for us to go back to what we were meant as humans to be, or where we really probably found salvation. So it's really interesting that, like, you're saying this where it's remembering is impossible almost for people in the digital age. You really have to work to remember.
Yeah. Well, and I'll get into the more specifics. What I didn't realize until after the journey was it wasn't even about remembering like Abe. It was about remembering like my creator and my part of being of the creator. Anyways, I'll get to the specifics. So we get there, first night, just hanging out, have dinner, etc. Next morning, so Friday morning is the journey day. So we start the day, you fast, and you go to there's a beautiful barn. It's on a ranch. It's beautiful over there. We go to the barn and you're sitting in a big circle. You're doing breath work, guided meditation, and then there's sharing where people open up, speak about why they're there, the things they're trying to resolve, whatever the case may be. Which I found nice that it was all strangers because it made it easier to just open up completely without like people that having judgments about you. And then it's time for the medicine, and the sitters bring you your medicine. It's a different combination of psychedelics and not a microdose. And they give it to you. And then there's more thoughtfulness, exercises, guided meditations. And then you get a second dose. And then the sitters take you to the journey room. So you go to your journey room and you've got a blackout mask and the headphones to really kind of put you inside yourself. And then they give you the third component, the dissociative. And put the mask on. I've got the spiritual music playing in my headphones. Second the mask went on was when things got crazy. Immediately, I'm traveling through tunnels of light, and I have no sense of reality immediately. And it was terrifying.
Wow.
It was terrifying. I felt like an amoeba.
Terrifying. I don't know if people are going to want to do this.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
Jeannie, thankfully, had texted me the day before and said, just remember, surrender to the medicine. And thank God she did, because I would have fought it. So I surrendered right away. And I, at first I thought, am I
How do
breathing?
you think you had the consciousness if you lost it to like know to surrender?
Because I was still not fully dissolved at this point. This was like 15 seconds in. And so,
Right. So it was like just scary going down
yeah, I'm like,
like
whoa,
Alice in Wonderland.
kind of. Um, so I surrendered. All of a sudden, I had no, I'm like, am I breathing? I felt undulations and like a physical frequency, but I couldn't tell if I was breathing. And then I came to the thought of, well, it doesn't really matter if I'm dying, it's okay. And so I felt like I might have been dying, but at peace with it. And then I couldn't remember my name, you. I kept trying to think about uh, the month of August, like, and then I couldn't even realize like what time was, or like what a month was, or anything about my humanity in
Weird.
this world.
So
So then I begin to travel through the universe in tunnels of light as the light and as the sound. That's how I existed, as light and sound. It wasn't Abe. It was just a floating consciousness existing as this light and sound traveling through the expanses of the universe, and this intense vibration. And that went on, I don't know how long in this world, but that felt like a long time. Soundscapes were changing. And then all of a sudden, stillness and darkness, except in front of me, I look up, there's this huge white wall in front of me and a ledge in front of it. And on the ledge was this like rogue trickster figure who, like from a fantasy book, one of my fantasy books, where it's like the rogue with the hooded cloak.
and he's not kidding. He reads those fantasy books. I had to display them all in our new library.
You gave them prominent positioning, which I appreciate.
You're welcome.
So anyway, so the trickster figure looks at me and it says to me, welcome home. And I didn't even think twice about it. I didn't think really, but so then I say to the trickster figure, I want it to sound different. And so the trickster figure says, yeah, just move this block over. I move the block over with my mind because I don't have a physical body. And then the sound starts changing. And I think, oh, that's right. It's that easy. And then I realize that
That
the
humans
block,
make everything complicated.
well, yeah, I'll get to the unpacking after. But in that, where I was I realized that I was at the source of creation, or maybe it's at the gate of the source of creation.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
But that block was a building block of creation, like a pixel of creation. And all I had to do was just move it over, and it changed everything. And then the trickster figure I realized was me, my father, my grandfather, and my ancestors all embodied in this one timeless figure. And then starts getting really weird. If it's not weird already, my father, who's passed away, your father, my grandmother, and your your grandmother, who all passed away, all came. Not their physical bodies, but they were like, I could feel their spirit, if that's the right word. And they were sending me messages to tell you and to let me know that they still exist. It's just not in the world that we live in, but that they're like, yeah, we still exist, and we'll be together again soon. And then the trickster figure and they all were telling me, with, impressing upon my mind the words, remember who you are, remember who you are. And then I
And that's
plucked.
something my dad used to say to you all the time.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. I remember.
How wild.
Um,
Love you. No, he used to say to
you
me,
love
love yourself.
yourself. So remember who you are. And then the next thing I remember was plucking what you can imagine as a bass guitar note, but there was no.
Which, if for those of you that don't know, Abe is a bassist.
Yes, and this is a big
Likes the
part of the
bass.
unpacking too, is that um this bass like there was no bass guitar, it was just like the cosmic note that I plucked with my consciousness, and from the stillness all of a sudden exploded colors and sound of all frequency, and I had created multiverses that I then traveled through, which felt like several lifetimes in terms of my sensation of time, which didn't really exist, but it just felt like that I lived several lifetimes. And so I spent the next lifetimes there just traveling through the universe. And eventually I came to, and the first thing I did was I felt my hand. I was like, oh shit, that's right. I'm human. I have a physical body. And then I take,
So cool.
it was, I mean, it was even talking about it doesn't, it can't convey what it was like. It felt like I was plugged into the matrix. Like you put the mask on, plugged in, and then you become you're in a different world, different place. So eventually I come to, feel my hand, I'm a human, blah, blah, blah. And like take the eye mask off and realize that I'm in Omaha, right? So then so Greg was asking me, he told me, he's like, man, you held that really close to the vest. What do you mean? You didn't say a word. It had been 4.5 hours in Earth time. I was silent the whole time, except one time. At one point, he said it looked like I was crying, and then right after, I was smiling radiantly, and then after that, I
I can
plucked,
picture you doing all of this, by the way.
and then right after that, I looked like I was plucking a fucking bass note, like a guitar, but it was like plucking, and so then we were unpacking, and it took me a second to just come to, and uh, they record you on your phone in case you have messages that you say in the middle of it, so you
Wow.
can hear it. I didn't say anything, but we were talking, and he was saying, I started talking about this feeling of that I subordinate my needs to others and not and don't serve myself, and that I feel like I need to start serving myself more. This idea, put the oxygen mask on yourself, right, when the plane's going down before you put it on your kids,
Hmm.
and this idea of subordinating my needs to others, and also the idea of delegating. Like, this, you tell me all the time I need to do this. I just try to do everything by myself and I don't delegate to other people. And he's like, why do you think you don't do that? And my response was, well, it's hard for me to trust other people to do the things that need to be done. It's like, I know how to do them. And then he said something that was really simple, but that really hit me because I never thought of it like this, which was, is it that, or do you feel like if you delegated things to other people that you wouldn't feel useful anymore?
And that's so on point for you.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm like, whoa, whoa. I mean, it sounds like such a simple observation, but
No, but it depends on the person.
right.
Like, that's very you.
So that hit me, and so the rest of the journey, the rest of the day, I just sat outside, kind of just looking at the sky, sitting with myself, kind of meditative. And then the next day was like the fun day, the play day, where you're with the group and you're just being goofy and everybody's talking and integrating. So I come back to New York, throw them right back into our reality, the kids, da da da. And it really took me like like the month after to really meaningfully unpack what I had experienced. And we've talked about this, but this whole thing of the trickster was a big thing for me. And I was like, I know that there's loosely like, that there's a trickster archetype. So I started going down the rabbit hole. And I was like, holy shit, this is me. And this is what I've been going through. And this is giving me tools now to kind of think about how I can use it. And it's,
Can I speak to that a little to
yeah,
explain
please.
it? So, I think what you're pointing to is that you, like we've talked about this before on the pod, where like you can be avoidant and you can manipulate things, like not not in a negative way, but
No, no, it can be negative.
yeah,
Not evil,
but
not
not like
malintentional.
malicious. I guess
Not
that's the word.
malicious, right.
Not malicious, but like that's just, it's your kind of go-to. And maybe that's from childhood and growing up with like a lot of kids and not wanting to be in trouble and wanting to be the good one and whatever it is that you have going on. But um, so I think what you realize in that moment from our conversations is that the trickster is not necessarily a bad thing, because I think you spent many, like, okay, for example, the whole thing that we've talked about with the Bitcoin where you like manipulated that situation and whatever, and then I found out about it and I was so upset, and then you kind of like think to yourself like, oh, I have, that's bad, like I shouldn't do that, that's bad. And so that turns into like your natural sense of self, which is actually playful and intelligent and quite talented, right? The trickster, that energy, you shun it away because it's bad and because something bad happened from it, instead of saying, well, and this is what you discovered from our conversations, well, maybe this is a great thing. It's just about channeling and how to use it. Don't use it in a way that's going to hurt others or that's going to hurt myself, but use it in a way.
Exactly. And that's kind of the base level of it, was this idea of trickster energy, which is reflected in mythology and in Jungian psychology, where like Loki was not a good trickster. He's powerful, but not a good one. But then Hermes, he was a classic trickster who evolved. And so I'm reading and understanding about this trickster, that it's the raw trickster energy is deceptive, manipulative, self-sabotaging, but not in an evil way. And it's disruptive for the sake of revealing truth. And it really resonated with me too, because it's not ruler energy, which is more direct. And that's one of the things that I had been struggling with, which is, like with you on the show, for example, there was a little competitiveness, and it was also weird for me when you first got on TV and you started getting recognition and notoriety. And there's like a disconnect, because I felt myself wanting that a little bit, but then not feeling like I actually wanted it, but that weird tension within. And one
Probably
of the
because it was you were confused between your ego and your true self.
Right. And so exactly. And so what happens is we have our egos, not that you're this egotistical person, but like in a literal psychological sense, the ego. And that tricks you into thinking you want the shiny object. You want the things, all the things that don't actually matter to you personally. It can matter to some people, and that's great. But to me personally, and then I started thinking about how I've been a bass player for like 25 years. And the bass player is not the lead guitarist. It's the entire structural support.
And I'll just point out that I remember at one point you were playing guitar because you were, right? Or you were playing an instrument out of necessity, maybe the keys, but you do like to play the
Keys.
keys. But you were playing them because you had to. And that was a little bit more front facing, and I think you liked that part of it, but I remember you would always say like, I really miss playing
Yep.
the bass.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. And so, I don't,
And then
and
your awesome white wife got you like the sickest bass ever.
yeah, it's my prized possession. So the whole concept of the bass player tied into all of this, because the trickster energy is not a direct in your face power. It's subtle, it's behind the scenes, it wields influence that's longer lasting, because kings come and go. The trickster can attach itself and be part of power structures as there's more of a flow and more behind the scenes. I'm like, that's who I've been, right? Like, even my work, I advise people who are well-known people. They're the ones that are out in the world, public facing.
You
Um,
also, in your work, and sorry to cut you off, but this is important. You are like, in terms of when you litigate, you operate like that in an extremely talented, nuanced, like discreet way where it's very interesting for me to watch, like, because like, I'm so not a trickster. Like, I would
no, you
suck.
don't. You,
Like, I would literally fail. But with watching you and when you're litigating is like you do it in such a way where no one would see it coming from. because you are by trade an advisor, and like the type of entertainment attorney you are, you advise, you consult with, you obviously do like, I mean, mostly now you're employees, but like they do the due diligence and the contract work and whatever, but you're there to support the talent. But then when there's like a litigation matter, you come in as like kind of unassuming and nice, and then you strike, and it's like it's wild to watch, but it's like so in that energy. And I feel like since you've gone on this journey, you've like really leaned into it in a way where you're becoming even more powerful in that way, and that's where the excitement of this kind of work, I think, comes in.
for sure, which was an unexpected channeling of it.
It's
Really,
so
I mean,
cool to watch though, like you're slaying dragons.
well, it's funny you say that because I think about something Joseph Campbell said on something I was just listening to, where he talks about the ego is the dragon, and in mythological representations, like the dragon slaying is the ego. Now I'm like, all right, I'm going dragon slaying because what happened in that journey was I can't say that my ego is completely gone. Of course, it's not, but I feel like I tamed it and can recognize it when it surfaces.
Awareness. And
Awareness of
it's
it,
all about awareness.
because
Everything is all about awareness.
yeah,
You
because
can control those habits if you have awareness.
controlling and it's recognizing and accepting and embracing. Because to tie back to the like the bass player Trickster, this whole idea behind the scenes, and I'm like, you know what? That's who I am, and that's actually how I like to exist.
That's what I was about to say. Not only is it who you are, but you enjoy it.
I love it.
You're like loving, like I've never seen the spark in you the way I have, like since you've accepted, fully accepted what you enjoy.
Yeah, and that's been one of the best parts about this because I'm now able to embrace that and lean into it. And so as I'm researching the Trickster, you've got the raw Trickster energy, and I'd previously thought like, okay, I have negative patterns. I'm sure everybody's got them. I'm like, "All right, I got to break those patterns, break those patterns."
Right.
And one of the most important fundamental takeaways that I had from this whole experience was, no, I don't need to break these patterns. I need to channel the patterns because the Trickster lives within me. And the Trickster's energy, when left as raw Trickster, is dangerous. It can be self sabotaging, but the Trickster can evolve like Hermes did. And then you evolve into magician and creator form. And that is where radiance comes and true power and productive and good power, doing good for people, for society, for your community, for your family, for yourself. And so that's the journey I'm on now is evolving from raw trickster to creator magician trickster.
It's funny to call it trickster because it sounds like different than what I feel like I perceive it is. But yeah,
What do you mean?
I feel like it's, I don't know if I'd call it, I mean, like, I guess that that's what it's called. So you're calling it trickster. But I feel like based on me knowing you, it's more that you're like, it's funny because this used to be your DJ name, but it's more like Geppetto,
Yes.
you know?
Well, that Geppetto was probably a trickster, actually.
Like you like to be, you enjoy being behind. I mean, you do it with me. Like people don't realize, but you've positioned me in many ways and with my influence and my social media business, like that's what you do. And you've helped me navigate that. You've found me the people that I work with, my manager, my like everybody. So like I think that you actually like that. You like when people call you and they're like, well, where do I go from here? And you're like, okay, well, let's talk about this and let's figure it out. And like what are the steps to go there? And how do we do this and how do we do that? You do. And I feel like you're kind of that person, and I think a lot of people are probably like this, where it's like when somebody tells you you're supposed to do something, you're like, "No, I'm not." Like, that's just kind of you, and you have to give it to your parents that they saw in you. I mean, you know your kids, right? Like, the way you have children now, and we see our kids in a different way than they see themselves, but your parents used to said to you forever that you're an attorney, like, and you were like, "No, I'm not." And it bothered you, I think, probably because 'cause you're an artist and you're like, there's this, like, sort of negative connotation when you're, like, a doctor or a lawyer or, like, any of those suit positions where I feel like people push back if they're also creative. But what you're doing now is incredibly creative. Like you're literally a creative attorney in the way that you deal make. I mean, one of the things I loved most about real estate was selling new development on blueprints because it was so creative. Like I literally had to
Yeah.
paint a picture for people to buy a property that they couldn't be in or look at, or there was nothing. It was a pile of dirt. Like that to me was the most exciting thing. Aside from that, I thought it was a very boring business. But there's a lot of creativity in these like suit businesses. I think people have to find their path. But I think like you were against it for a while because it was what you were told you were supposed to do your whole life. And I feel like you don't like being told what to do.
And I certainly do not.
Exactly. So
Neither do you.
I definitely don't. I mean, I was told I had to be in real estate, so I decided to be I liked the best at real estate and I liked it and it was fine. You're more than me, like against being told what to do.
Yeah.
I actually was like I listened to my dad all the time and my parents.
The trick is when you want to get somebody to do what you
You
want
tell
them
them
to do.
not to do.
No, that works with kids. It's to make them think that the thing you want them to do is their idea.
Okay, see, you're a manipulator and a trickster.
Yeah.
Like that's not something I would do. But I think what's beautiful about all of this
How do you think I
is
got you to marry me? I made you think that
oh, that's what you did.
no.
It's a creepy
I did play we
twisted
did,
thing.
you know this. I played the game with you.
Well, you have to, I think, and we've had
Laid
many
them traps.
conversations. Well, I also played the game with you. What do you think? I'm like just sitting here,
You
just
didn't have
letting
to,
you
you,
play the
you
game.
didn't have to play games with me.
Yes,
I
I
was
did.
hooked the first
Well,
time.
I didn't know that.
Well, good.
Um,
No, it was good that you played the game.
yeah, you would have not been into
No,
it.
I was with hot girls before and they made it too easy and I
Yeah,
lost
nobody
interest.
wants it to be too easy. Guys, nobody wants it to be too easy. Okay? Like it's bullshit when people are like, don't play, just go like ask them go over their house and just like what every single day. No, nobody
No,
wants that. I don't
no.
even want a friend like that that wants to come over. Actually, that's not true. Friends can come over every day. But, like, also have some space. Like, it's okay to have some space, and when you're dating, I think it's cute. But after a while, though, when people wanna play too many games and you know something's actually wrong with them,
Yeah, there's a
there's a
balance. Then you're not
balance.
playing the game well.
Right, then you
Yeah,
just suck at
then
the game. You're
you're
just a
like,
weirdo.
yeah,
You have problems.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think this whole experience for you has been really interesting. It's been really interesting for me to watch because as an outsider, seeing you embrace your profession the way that you have has been really exciting. Exciting for me because I'm watching it grow, like even in the last couple of months, which is kind of crazy. It's only been like 2 months since you did this.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But you already hired someone, like you're like, it's kind of crazy,
I know. And
actually.
it's also helped me kind of a lot of the tension I had was because I also wear the hat of CEO of Mezcalum, which I spent a lot of time on. And
Yeah.
so it's been helpful for me to
Like bifurcate.
no, well, we're probably ending up saying the same thing, but the opposite of bifurcate in the sense, which is to synthesize.
Right. But you're able to handle both in a more
Yes.
organized
Yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
But I want to go back to my point that we were just talking about where I was saying how, because I've been having this like vision of me in the desert very often, which is so weird. And I think that you talking about this experience is so apropos because of how challenging it is for us as humans to connect with ourselves again. And so we do maybe need to go to these extreme. I mean, it doesn't have to be that you're taking medicine.
Well, Omani has a great phrase, which describes as sometimes people need a shock to joy.
Wow.
And I was like, that's it. Because think about how powerful is it when it's years and years and years and years and years, 10 years go by, 20 years go by. It's like the Dark Side of the Moon song. One day, 10 years have got behind you. No one told you when to run. You missed the starting gun. It's like life happens. You have kids. I don't know. It's like that. That's going to take a big fucking shock because all of that inertia requires a push in order for you
Right.
to gain momentum. You can't just, it's like doing little things. If you're committed over many years, great. But having that shock, it's like, oh,
Right.
thank you.
Right. Like an adjustment.
Even better. It's
Right.
like a new body.
It's like a mental like crack.
That's good. But we talk about this too, which is the digital age that we live in. I've said this before, I'll say it again, that the idea of God and the devil, the algorithm, media, all the distraction is the devil. I think
Totally.
the representation of what the devil would be, like how would the devil rule the
Like, it
world? It would
used to
make
be,
people
like,
love it.
you're right, right, and if you think
Forget
about
your creator, forget you.
and if you think about thousands of years ago, there were wars and there was evil in people's minds and good. And like that was it. Right now, of course, there are like wars in different countries and things like that. But the main war is media,
The battle,
the
battle
battle
on the war on our souls.
on our, like, it's just so easy to forget who you are. Like, think about it. People don't even sit anymore in silence. It's like, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
we're
we're
all
on the
guilty of
train.
it.
Oh, I'm on the walking. Like it's constant distraction. So it takes a lot now. And I think that's why there's been this massive shift towards mindfulness. Like people are spending all this money to go on retreats, digital retreats, to literally disconnect, which is wild to think about that people are paying for their phone to be taken away.
That is wild.
Like put your fucking phone down yourself, but it's impossible.
It is. And I think we talk about this in the context of Mezcalum. This has been our messaging from the beginning, and I think we agree that it makes sense to double down on it, which is Mezcalum is something that you're physically there
Yeah.
with other human beings, celebrating a moment, celebrating life. And the more digital our lives become, the more I think the core of humans are like, it's like when you're a cornered animal and you're like fighting for your life, you fight the hardest and you wake up. And I think not all humans, there's fight, flight, or stasis or
On.
fawn. A lot of humanity, I think, is at the stage now where we're feeling that like from within, from our souls, like trying to break out of the prison. It's like, wake the fuck up,
And
wake the
that's
fuck up.
and that's also why experiential is taking off because people want to be physically with each other and they want to like be in spaces together. Like that is where money is going towards more than cuz nobody like even if think about the regular things. You can shop everything on your food online. You can go shopping online. You can order this online. You can hire people online. Like there's no walking into a store even and hi neighbor, like that doesn't even freaking happen anymore. So people are spending more and more money on doing live events and going to places where they can be social and communicate with each other because we are social beings and we will die if we don't have community, literally.
Yeah.
Like we will die or we'll go crazy. So that's why I love. I mean, listen, I know that there's like this trend towards not drinking and I don't think drinking is for everybody and I think it should be in moderation. I'll say this till the day I die. But I also think there's something to be said about having a spirited night. And like, so we've had some of the best conversations over a cocktail or two of mescalum or whatever, sitting on the beach and just like disconnecting. It helps you disconnect sometimes. It's just like a little like lubrication to disconnect. Sometimes it's like a good way to bond, right? Like I can't, I mean, I'm just going to be very open. I can't smoke weed. Like I just can't. I don't like it. You don't smoke
I
weed.
don't smoke that much anymore.
Like, I get it. I wish I did. I used to smoke a lot in high school and in college, but it's like I'm past it. Like, it makes me too it takes too long to wear off, and then once it wears off, I'm eating my whole fridge, and, like, in the beginning, I'm nervous and cleaning, like, it's too much. It's too much of, like, a mind game for me. But a cocktail, it's like I'm connecting with a friend. We're talking about real stuff sometimes, or we're just laughing and giggling. And it's in a way like medicinal. If you think about
For
also,
sure.
I love to think about ancient times lately. And it's like they would have these raging things over wine and, like this was part of culture for a long time. So I think that you should do it responsibly, but it's a symbol of togetherness and connection and remembering humanity in a way. And I think that's
Not in
why
a way. It's
it
exactly
is.
that.
And that's why we're so passionate about what we're doing because We're doing it with a really clean product that is not hard on the environment, sustainably produced, sustainably packaged. We have 50% or more of the people working in our distillery are women, which I personally love. We have the first male openly gay mezcalero. Fucking cool. And I'm just proud of this business. Like I'm so incredibly proud of it and how
Yeah.
it's selling and that it's purity. And I just feel like I don't know how I got on this tangent, by the way. We were talking about, I
Hey,
don't know where I
you
went.
want to include a
I'm
Mezcalum
just
plug? I'm not going to
excited.
complain.
I'm really excited about it. It's doing so well, and it's just like,
Excited to, like, we have the event coming up for your book launch with Mezcalum.
yeah,
I'm excited for that. I'm excited for being together with people.
yeah,
And I just, as much
same.
as I want to sell as much product as we can, I'm more excited for what that actually means, which is again, helping all of us remember ourselves and humanity. And I think that's going to be my life's driving core mission is helping myself and all of us remember what it means to be human.
I love it.
And with that,
With that,
it was nice having you back here with
great.
me.
It was great.
And
Missed everybody.
yeah,
I did. Okay. Well, never mind. I'll tell you after. Okay, guys. Thanks for listening.
yeah, we're gonna shift away from the
The cheesiness that
yeah,
you wanted to. Thank you. I'm glad you did that journey to remember
yes.
that.
At least I remembered. I remembered. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.